Hi, you're watching Sipping Off the Cuff on Tequila Aficionado Media. I am Mike Morales here in San Antonio. That young man out there is...
Rick Levy and Sandy.
Rick is speechless because we've been going through this agave journey through Oaxaca with the Escorpion line from Scorpion. That's Doug French and Company. Caballeros Inc. is the importer. And we have, if you've been watching this in sequence or not, you've seen us do the Taste of the Tobola. We did our very first pechuga and just went literally bananas over it. This one is
Red bananas.
Red bananas, yeah. This one here is the Arroqueno, and these are again Jovens is what we're looking at. If you've read Doug's article on Tequila Aficionado, you know that on occasion he will buy unusual varietals of agave and make mezcal from them, as well as grow them. As Rick pointed out, he'll go and gather seeds, and he's been growing some small plots commercially. As you can see, this is a 375, so it's a very small batch.
I understand the Arroqueno is fairly rare as well.
Well, everything you need to know is on the bottle. It's right on the label. They don't hide anything. And this particular plant, the plants were 12 years old. These were mature. You know, if this was a blue agave, it would be a mature blue agave. You'd be hard pressed to find a 12-year-old.
Well, some, from what I understand, some Arroquenos can take 20 to 30 years to mature.
Yeah, I'm not even sure, what they look for when they harvest these, because up until recently, many of these were wild harvested. I think now some distillers and producers are trying to grow some things commercially. We know Doug is, and you can read all about his efforts on Tequila Aficionado. Just punch in Douglas French and it'll pop up for you. It's in his own words, so you'll be able to understand exactly where he's coming from. But wow. I mean, so far it's been a wow experience. So if you'll notice, I am going to use this is a prototype by the makers of Stotzel glassware. It has been designed for mezcals and tequilas. We're going to see how good they are, because if you've been following us, Rick and I and Alex and most of us have agreed that, the tequila and agave spirits in general, we think has outgrown the Riedel glassware. I think we need to expand our toolkit, and that's what we're doing. We're looking to expand the toolkit and find something that really brings out the best or the worst in agave spirits. So there was a time where when the Riedel first came out, there was some guys that would say Riedel brings out the nasty in tequila, and it did. At some point, it would show you the flaws as well. So it's not all about nosing and the beauty.
And then
it's about
a lot of tequila raised their game.
Yeah, well, that's just it. And I think that's the whole point of this, is not just for enjoyment, but as a real viable tool. So let's try that. Rick is using his handy dandy Glencairn, which I think. Do you want to tell everybody that you've pretty much retired all your Riedels?
Yeah, my go-to now is the Glencairn whiskey glass. I find it easy to manage and clean and hold and wield, and I like that it has a larger space for aromas to collect. But
is.
there are some tequilas that they may be like a more delicate or more elegantly crafted, or where I may still go to the Riedel for that. But, now that we have so many, really kind of beefy tequilas that, are coming from, all these artisanal distilleries, I'm really enjoying the Glencairn with those.
I think Glencairn, it was so very versatile, which was something I discuss. I'll be discussing actually an exclusive article for just our newsletter subscribers, and the Glencairn was not lost on that quality of the Glencairn wasn't lost on oak heads, because they've been using Glencairns for years in the reposados and añejos, and up until recently, when the blancos, the single estate blancos started coming out, and you realize that your Glencairn was just as good for those, as you said, the beefy tequilas that were coming out, and let alone the mezcals. So you can see I've got my Glencairn here that we used later for the Pechuga, and you can see the kind of a little bit of a difference in what they're trying to accomplish. They're similar.
I really like that idea of the the flatness at the bottom, the increased surface area for mezcals.
I do too. I like, I've mentioned that I really enjoy the Canadian whiskey blending glass, but my concern is that it's got a thinner base. This one has a thicker base, so there's not a real danger of me warming up the booze, before I get to it. So we'll see. We're playing around. These are prototypes. When they decide on one or the other, hopefully we'll get the scoop, which will be nice. Oh my gosh. Why is the aroma so dreamy? This is more of a flowery aroma as opposed to fruitiness. Am I correct?
Yeah, I would say flowery and maybe a little bit herbaceous. What it seems to me is, it reads, to my nose, it reads a lot like Espadin, but, maybe kind of amped up, which is interesting because Arroqueno is actually the genetic forebear of Espadin.
Oh, okay. So this could literally be Espadin on Peds.
Espadin's
the roots of all
daddy.
Espadin. Wow. It is very, very pronounced nose. I call it flowery. I'm not, where some of the other ones I was getting a little bit more wet cement, some earth. I'm not getting that here. I'm getting more of the flower and I guess fruitiness as well, right?
Yeah.
Well, let's just go with herbaceous. I think herbs is probably the best way to.
Coming from a tequila background, I would probably maybe lean this more towards like a lowlands Weber agave instead of like a highlands Weber agave. Of course, completely different species, but
little to no alcohol at all. Neither one of us, Rick or myself, have opened these up prior. All the Helven varietals are sealed in wax, so whatever you're getting from it being sealed at the factory to being opened here is what's in there. So each of these is so different, Rick. It's just wow. By the way, the Arroqueno is considered agave americano. Not sure why, but that's the
Central America is still America.
Yes, that's true. Well, and here's the kicker: Mexico is still considered part of Central America, which really I don't get. But we didn't make the map, so.
Well, Oaxaca certainly is more Central America than North America. I love this.
Wow, the herbaceousness really comes through on the intake.
Of the different, when we reviewed Scorpion, the Scorpion Hogan 4-pack that they sent us, and we had the Baril, the Weber, the Espadin, and the Tobola. I was really drawn toward the Espadin, and it's been my favorite um, species of agave of the varietals that Scorpion has sent us, and I would say this is right in there. This is beautiful. I'm really drawn to this profile.
Wow. There is the all the herbaceousness that you're not getting on the nose, you get completely on the intake. There's I'm still getting that explosion of pepper too. I don't know about you, but I did.
I'm getting, yeah, and I'm getting creamy agave flavors.
Well, on the sides of my palate, there's just a slight underlying bitterness. Nothing bad, it's just like it's supposed to be there as it finishes. It's just kind of like a last reminder, a wave goodbye. I can't help but be romantic about this whole thing because it really is an experience.
It's more like that bitterness. I'd probably characterize it as more of like a green vegetal kind of bitterness, as opposed to what else would you say is bitter?
It's not a barrel bitterness or a tobacco bitterness, because obviously this particular varietal is not aged. So whatever bitterness you're getting, it would be more of a plant bitterness as opposed to a barrel or a tannin bitterness.
Well, what about a citrus bitterness?
Okay, I'll buy that.
Like a lemon lime?
I'll buy that. Yeah, or a grapefruit, which to me are quite bitter. I'm not a big fan of grapefruit. I'd rather suck on a lime or a lemon than do that to suck on a grapefruit. Although in Texas, ruby reds are a big deal. But it's more of a.
But you're right. That perks up right around the edges of the palate.
Right there.
I'm not getting it on the center.
No. On the center, you get the explosion of pepper. You do get some pepper, and you get all the herbaceousness is right at the.
I'm getting the pepper. I'm getting the pepper towards the back, and then the front middle of the palate. I'm getting, those agave flavors with just a hint of smoke.
Those, yeah. The herbs are the first thing that struck me right away on the intake is the herbaceousness, the herbs that, oh my God, this is just, wow.
I would almost say that I'm probably the flavor is probably a bit bigger than the nose.
Oh, absolutely. I agree. The intake, the nose belies the intake. It almost catches you by surprise.
Yeah. The nose is very nice, but then when it hits your palate, it's like, ooh.
Yeah, it's like a wake-up call. So, whoa! Again, you don't expect that to happen. Tequilas, and you and I have done enough of these already, Rick, that you know that with tequilas, there's some of them just follow a certain pattern, and you already know what to expect, and it doesn't fail you. And the ones that are always eye openers for us are the ones that you don't expect to do something. They do something. You think it's going to turn left, and it goes right. And you go, oh wow, what is this? And every
or it turns down.
Yeah, every one of these so far has flipped a U-turn. I mean, you don't know where it's going to take you. You think you do. You think you can peg it, and I think that's the beauty of the mezcals that are so well done, especially this Escorpion line, is that once as a tequila drinker, you come to expect a certain flavor profile that's going to act a certain way, right? Yeah. And these do not. It's like trying to wrangle cats. It's just not going to happen, folks. You can wrangle cattle.
We described the experience before as really three-dimensional.
Yes. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I'm trying to do it in funny terms, but try to wrangle a cat and see what happens. It doesn't. You can't. It just won't. And just when you think you got it in your hand, it's going to leap over you. And really that's what this does. It just you can't. You really have to catch these mezcals with an open mind, because you can't compare it and base it to even the best tequilas, because it's just going to do something completely different. And if you're prepared for that, if you like surprises, this is the stuff right here, man.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if the glass is helping or impairing. What I know is that these so far all these flavor profiles and the aromas have been so big that I could put it in my shoe. You know, I could probably figure out where the leather came from. You know, and everything else. But I am enjoying using the glasses. They're wonderful for nosing. They're you know, very similar to again, these are prototypes that are being produced by Stossel, and you may have seen these. These are very popular for bourbon and for whiskey, and they're kind of a standby. But you can see that this is going to be the opening is a little smaller, and the bell at the bottom is more oblong, whereas this one is more of a tulip shape, and I think in for me a little bit more elegant. But I'm gonna in the next couple of minutes we're gonna do another tasting, and I'm gonna use my Stossel and see what I get from it. But I know that the glass is a little bit thicker, a few centimeters thicker than your Glencairn. So I have yet to have any of, except for one of these in a Glencairn, in a thinner glass. But like I say, I could pour it in my shoe, you know, and it wouldn't do any different. Because these are beautiful, man.
Yeah, these are big. You don't have to dig.
What do you think? Brand of Promise nominee?
Absolutely.
These are obviously these are rhetorical questions I'm asking you, because if I don't nominate him, Rick will hit me.
And you know, and I've never considered myself a mezcal person, and you know, these have just really been delightful.
Yeah, they have, and I'm so glad that, like I say, with Rick's really first foray into mezcals, that they were this quality mezcal. You know, before you venture off into something a little bit higher ABV, that you had these to start with, and even me for that matter, because these are so well done, and each of them completely different. Wow, just amazing. 12-year-old. Just to repeat what's on the label, so in case you wanted to go look for it, it's the Arroqueno. It's a 12-year-old pot still this one's from January 2006. That's the date of distillation. Wow. And these come in 375s. If you can find it, folks, just do yourself a favor. It's like going to school. It's like mezcal school.
And then tell us where you found it. Yeah, because I'm going to go and I'm going to buy more, because these aren't going to last long.
Yeah, Rick's going to go buy them all. You know, subscribe. And while you're at it, subscribe, you know, down below at the on our YouTube channel if you haven't already. But stay with us, because we are going to do 3 more varietals, and we've got a couple of them that are kind of a surprise. So stick with us. That's our take on the Escorpion line. This is the Arroqueno. I'm Mike Morales here in San Antonio, and that gentleman was
Rick living in San Diego.
He was. Now he'll be somebody else. But and as we like to say here on Tequila Aficionado, tomar sabiamente.
Supplies.